5 strikes and you're out, according to Twitter. There is a new policy to flag people they believe are tweeting misinformation about the COVID vaccine. And after a couple of warnings and a suspended account, you're banned for good. To talk more about that headline and Facebook's $650 million fine, we want to talk to cybersecurity expert and attorney Leeza Garber. Good morning, Leeza. Thanks for joining us.
Good morning, Jan.
So first, let's talk about Twitter's new strike system. How does this work?
It's a little more elaborate than baseball's 3 strikes, you're out. There's basically 5 levels of punishment. And what they're really trying to deter are users sharing misinformation related to the COVID-19 pandemic. Twitter is working with the World Health Organization, Dr. Fauci, the White House COVID-19 pandemic team, and they're trying to be a resource for correct information about the pandemic. So basically what happens is if you continue to share what they call misinformation, you could be suspended for up to a week and then finally completely banned from the platform.
The question, though, I think some people might have is who determines what is accurate or not? And could this potentially be something Twitter implements on non-COVID related tweets?
It's a huge question. Who are the moderators behind the scenes? Who's allowing content and who's not approving content? And really, for all of these social media platforms, they have a large, elaborate team of lawyers, human resource professionals, and other fact checkers who are looking into posts every single minute of every day. Some of these are contractors that are outsourced to other countries around the United States, outside of the United States. But basically, they're trying to look at the World Health Organization, for example, with the COVID-19 pandemic, and other legitimate resources for facts. In reality, they're allowed to look wherever they want. These social media platforms are protected by Section 230 of the Communications Decency Act to moderate as they see fit. We have to remember they're private companies.
Right. Well, these are private companies. This is also a slippery slope for all those folks who think that big tech is already doing too much to limit information, and many calling it, censorship. And this is exactly where freedom of speech is really coming into play right now, because who's determining what is fit for public consumption at this point, right?
It's such a great point, Jan, and many users are concerned about this. Look, freedom of speech doesn't really apply to these platforms because they're private companies. In the end, they set their own terms of use. They say what's banned and what's not. Generally, they have very similar categories amongst Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, all those platforms. They say they ban nudity, they ban pornography, they ban graphic violence, but now they're really upping the ante and deciding what's misinformation and what's not. So again, it's lawyers, it's human resource professionals, but it's also contractors that are trained in other countries. So really, we need a little more information to get behind the scenes to understand what's happening.
Yeah, and they're a private company, as you mentioned. So at this point, until there are other regulations, they can do what they want, right? So
yeah.
Over to Facebook right now. First, explain what biometric data is, because in Illinois, Facebook has to pay this humongous fine. So what, $650 million after the court found that the social media site was storing biometric data without disclosing it to Facebook users.
Yes. So first and foremost, biometric data is really any human characteristic that can be used to identify you and only you. So we think about fingerprints, your facial scan, your eyes, iris, even your voice, the cadence of your voice. These are things that are unique to you as a human being that can be used to identify you, even in a digital context. So in Illinois, there are a handful of states, Illinois being one of them, that protects the privacy of biometric information. And this could be when you thumbprint in to get into an office building, or when a company like Facebook scans everybody's faces and photographs to digitally tag them on the platform. And that's what happened here. This is a landmark privacy suit, $650 million, about 1.4 million plaintiffs in this class action suit. And what they're saying is Facebook didn't ask their permission to tag their faces and to store those facial imprints. And that's the problem here.
So Leeza, I've got 10 seconds. So every Facebook user in Illinois is entitled to $345, right? So who meets that criteria? How do they collect?
Well, unfortunately, you would have already had to file the claim. This lawsuit started back in 2015. These take years to move through the courts. So you would have already had to file, but hopefully these 1.4 million people will get their $350. And we will see more lawsuits just like this.
Thank you, Leeza. We appreciate you joining us this morning here on the National Desk.
Thank you.